We're almost there.
There we go.
Okay, we're live. All right. Welcome, everybody. This is Todd Bumgardner of Strength Faction, www.strengthfaction.com. And I'm excited today because I'm here with Dave Hall, and he is actually a Strength Faction member. And I brought him on today to talk a little bit about Strength Faction, his experience, what it's meant to him, and how it's helped him in his business, just to give everyone kind of a clear example directly from someone that's used the program rather than hearing Chris and I talk about it all the time. So, Dave, thanks for taking time out of your day, man.
Sure, man. My pleasure.
So I guess, yeah, simple, man. Just, I don't want to get real tight and ask you a bunch of questions and everything. I just, talk to us about, your experience with Strength Faction. You got in with the first go round, and now we're about to start up again in January. And I just want to give everybody kind of an example of what it's doing for people.
Excellent. Yeah, no problem. I started my business about 10 years ago. I did not start adding employees until basically last summer. And when I started bringing on these trainers, I needed a fast track to bring them up to speed. My business was growing very quickly, and it was really important to me that my business was able to maintain the standard that we had done for the previous 10 years and keep that going forward. So when you and I met and I heard about what you had going on, that seemed like the perfect platform for me to be able to get, additional educational material and additional experience to my staff. So originally when I joined on, that was the purpose. It's interesting that that's actually changed a little bit for me personally since then, but originally, yeah, the idea was to get my staff up to speed.
Yeah. And what about, so I want to go into your personal story too, and how it's kind of changed for you, but what about it attracted you to educating your staff and bringing them up to a higher level of coaching?
Well, actually, to be honest, you and I had met previously on a professional level and had talked. I was really impressed with your level of knowledge and what you brought to the table that I didn't necessarily have. And so, as a business person and now a leader of a crew, it's not enough for me to rely just on what I have, right? There's a much bigger picture. So if I can bring in expertise from other areas to help bring up my team, then the product that I'm able to produce is that much better.
Sure.
So I was impressed by you, and after I got into the program, I was very quickly impressed by Chris. You guys have a very high level of technical knowledge when it comes to training, but you're also able to present it in a manner that is accessible. I think that by the nature of the fact that the fitness industry is an unregulated industry, you run the gamut in trainers from, enthusiasts who decided that they wanted to build a career to, college graduates in kinesiology and in sports performance. And so that's a wide range of people to interact with. That's a wide range of experience to try to deal with. And you have the capacity to encompass that entire gamut. Right, you bring the technical knowledge to the stage, but you're also able to present it in a way in which, most of my trainers are former clients. They're enthusiasts who got to the level where they wanted to take it, one more step up. And so to throw them a textbook was not going to work. They were
Sure.
just, the information was there, but they were not in a place where they were going to be able to absorb it. And so you present that in a manner which is digestible, for lack of a better word. You can actually get the information, and I think that's really important.
That's great. I know. First of all, I really appreciate the kind words, man. That's awesome. And I think that's important is, having context when you learn. And I think what you're talking about a lot of times is when trainers go to try to learn from maybe certain certifications or certain textbooks or whatever it may be, they don't necessarily have the context to absorb what they have, what's in front of them. I think that's, if I'm paraphrasing what you're saying, and that's kind of the goal, is we want to give people the information in a context in which they can go and take it and use it immediately for themselves and for their clients. So everybody's getting better. We're transforming them, and that also sure parlays into them being better coaches. But just specifically, what have you noticed for your team as far as an education standpoint goes, since you guys have been in?
Specifically, as far as our team is concerned, we have been a strength gym primarily, and had been moving towards powerlifting and getting into. We'd formed our own powerlifting team, and we're pushing ourselves towards that competitive aspect. And we got all into what we were good at, and we didn't pay so much attention to the stuff that wasn't directly attributable to our goals of getting stronger, but were also the things that we weren't necessarily so good at. And so that allowed some significant weaknesses to develop, both in us as individuals and in our overall approach to training. And primarily that had to do with cardiac output, and approaching that in a more systematic manner, rather than just an occasional, I'm just going to blow it out with a Metcon or something like that. So that specifically was really important to us, that you helped us round out a program that had started to become a little lopsided.
Sure. Perfect. Well, I'm glad to hear that, and I'm sure the benefits carrying over in several ways. So that's awesome.
Yeah, totally, for sure. Dude, you got me running again. What the hell, right?
Yeah, I know. I feel good about that. I mean, the streets of Birmingham are blessed with Dave Hall in short shorts and his stride. So
that's right. The ground shakes, but it's all good.
Yeah. So yes, well, I guess that's a good transition into you and your experience with Strength Faction, and kind of how you had a different expectation of what it was going to mean, and now it's kind of, I guess, evolved into something else for you. So what do you
Absolutely.
mean by that?
So, well, I was that fool who was like, "Oh, this will be a good thing for my guys, because we really need to get them up to the level that we want to perform at, and blah blah blah." And the truth of the matter is that my own personal training, my training of myself, had some glaring holes in it. And I'm getting older. I'm officially in my mid 40s now. 44 is the mid 40s point, and there were some health issues that were starting to creep up. My blood pressure was going up. My testosterone levels were not where a guy of my ego wants them to be. And, and so those were just kind of like canary in the coal mine type indicators for me. That was like, okay, so nothing major is happening right now, but this is the slippery slope that leads you to some bigger issues, and I need to deal with those now. And your programming forced me into, addressing, like I said, those holes, primarily being cardiac output. It doesn't matter if, I have a 1,200 pound total if I can't walk up a flight of stairs without getting winded, right? That's kind of,
not good for longevity.
No, it's not. It's absolutely not. And so, finding myself on that lopsided side of the spectrum, and thinking foolishly that, the boxing and the martial arts stuff that I was doing was handling that other side of it, was a mistake, because it's not necessarily. I mean, yes, the boxing and the martial arts that I do are cardiovascularly challenging, but if you are in control of your own training, then you automatically pace yourself, right?
Sure.
So that, I can go a 3-minute round, but I also know how to work the ring in a manner in which I'm not pushing myself that hard for those 3 minutes. Whereas, when your programming has, a dialed in heart rate that I'm supposed to maintain for a certain amount of time, you can't hide from that. You can't rest on the ropes or whatever metaphor you want to use there to kind of cruise through that set. You've got to, so that was very valuable for me.
So it's almost like an accountability standpoint. So
absolutely. Yeah. Even from the diet log stuff that we did, to the weekly check-ins, to just the level of coaching that you guys provide. There's definitely that accountability, which I think that as a fitness professional, we largely, I think as fitness professionals, that's something that we lack,
Yeah.
is that accountability, because we assume, well, I'm a fitness professional, right? I should, I've got I know what to do. I
Exactly.
don't need anybody to tell me what to do. I know what to do.
But I think
But
I think another thing that's important there too is that when it comes to the accountability, like you're the accountability source for so many other people, and that's draining. That takes from your energy rather than to have an accountability source that puts something back into your bucket, so you have the energy to go be the accountability source for all the people that need you to be on top for them.
exactly. And that's what's, personally, I find so beautiful about what you guys do and the way that you approach it is that, my default would be to say, oh, well, I mean, yeah, I know what to do. And so I'm not doing it. So I suck, right? I must be, maybe I'm not the trainer that I thought I was. Maybe I'm not as good as I thought it was. And not even consider that I've just run my batteries down.
Yeah,
I spent all this energy taking care of, the 60, 70 people that I have running through my gym that, and, I got nothing left for myself. And that it's
100%.
important to, to outsource that like I would any other thing that, I don't have the resources to spend on.
Yeah,
I mean, I am a 44-year-old man who was raised in Birmingham, Alabama. I know how to change the oil on my truck, right?
yeah,
I can fix my brakes, right? I can fix most of the things that need to be done on my truck. Do I have time to do that? No, absolutely not. And so it's a complete waste of my resources to spend on that, right?
yeah. 100%.
So it's much more sensible for me to outsource that to somebody else. My training, therefore, is no different.
Yeah. But I mean, that's a good thing. I think Dan John has a quote where like, if you train yourself, your client will always be a fool or something like that.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
it's just another one of those means to get outside of your own skull, and get some other input and learn and have somebody kind of put you on the right process. But I mean, so we talked a little bit about how it's impacted you and your team educationally, and then obviously your own transformation, and that your health markers are getting better and all of that, which is fantastic. And one of the things that Chris and I are most proud of. But talk a little bit about being a part of the community. How has that affected you?
That's pretty solid. I like I like being tied in with trainers from around the country. I like seeing what other trainers are doing. I like the monthly challenges. I think are fantastic. I like, I believe, not to pat myself too proudly on the back. I may not I may not have produced the highest numbers in that last push-up challenge, but I'm going to tell you that I produced the highest quality push-ups.
They were clean.
100%. Those were solid push-ups. You could not argue that point.
They were clean.
But having that, being able to have that banter back and forth, being able to, to play and be a part of a community of peers is really important because, in I don't know what it's like for you guys up in the Northeast, but down here, there's a real paranoia amongst the other gyms.
Mm,
Nobody wants to talk to me because they're afraid I'm going to steal their stuff or whatever. So
sure.
I don't have that community of peers, of other owners, of other trainers that I can interact with, and the Strength Faction allows that community to form completely devoid of competition. I don't, you know, I'm not worried about anybody stealing my stuff, but if somebody is afraid that I'm going to steal their stuff, even if I do, we're 3 states away from each other, so there's no way that I can impact, your business. So it removes that barrier and allows us to relate to one another as peers and be like, oh shit, this happened in my business. What have you guys seen? And I think that's an incredibly valuable component. I love it.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, I really love that you touched on those points because I think where people get lost, I mean, it gets competitive pretty much everywhere. But I think, and the real aspect is, if you don't have that scarcity mindset and you realize that we're all in this together, and that's just kind of what we want to create is a community that takes care of each other. We're all in this together, and we're gonna have a good time. Like we just want people to relax and realize that this is all a means to grow professionally and personally, hopefully as well. and we just want to put people in positions to do that. And you know, like you said, everybody's going to have similar issues, or someone's going to have seen a problem that you've seen, and just to be able to have someone to lean on like that is always great. So that's something that we're really proud to provide as well.
You do a very good job of it.
Thanks.
It's something that I really enjoy. The other element that I would add to that I think is funny to me personally is the Frat Boy Friday component that you got in there.
Yeah.
I think, you know, I sincerely hope that you keep that because it was one of those things that I had not recognized the value of. And you guys, like, I mean, we're a strength gym, right? So we're not a bodybuilding gym. So, you know, curls hardly ever happen in our gym. They just don't. That's just not something that we program in. And then to watch my guys and to see the enthusiasm with which they jumped into to the Frat Boy Friday and realizing, well, all right, maybe, you know, maybe there is a value to that I had not looked at before. And so, again, you guys have done a really good job of opening up my eyes to things that I had not considered. And I think as a business professional, as somebody who's looking to grow and improve both personally and their business, that's always of value. Whenever anybody can present something to me that I have not considered before, or maybe had considered and rejected, and then said, no, I think there's value here that you haven't seen, and could do it in a way that I go, oh, you know what? There is some value there that I hadn't considered. That's huge, because now I've opened up, you know, both personally and business-wise, a realm that was otherwise closed. And if it's closed, then I never get any value out of it. But if it's open, the potential is huge.
100%. Sometimes entertainment value is just value enough. You know what I mean? So
absolutely, yeah.
So
just the fun factor.
You have to have fun. You have to have fun, and that's one of the things that I think that we forget, because we're in an industry where there's a lot of dogma, and there's also a lot of, over complication based on dogma. And sometimes it's all right to just grab a fucking dumbbell and do some curls and enjoy yourself while you do it. So
yeah. Absolutely.
Well, Dave, man, I really appreciate you taking the time to talk about all this, man, and you know, all this awesome feedback on Strength Faction that actually you and I hadn't even talked about before. So this is all very enlightening for me as well. I really appreciate your time, man.
Of course, absolutely. Thanks for the opportunity. I'm excited. I'm looking forward to going forward.
Yeah, January is going to be great. We got a great lineup coming up for the next 4 months, and so registration is open now. It closes on the 8th, and then the spring 2016 Strength Faction starts on January 11th and runs through the end of April. And we're really excited. We got some great people registered so far, and I think we're gonna have an awesome group.
Fantastic. I'm stoked.
So if you'd like to register and you're watching this video, which apparently you are because you've made it this far, you can go to www.strengthfaction.com and register there. All right, and I'm also going to include a link in the description of this video. Have a great day.